Uh, I'll try and cover as much as I can. Uh, Most of the things are going to be related to the topics that are already, prescribed in that particular curriculum of that Agentforce Specialist exam. And what we'll do is we'll uh, try and not go into the details, but we'll try and discuss the approach on how we can do that. Also, what helpful materials can we get out of that. So let me open the screen. So we all are familiar with Trailhead, right? If anyone does not have any account on Trailhead, can contact me separately as well. I'll try and help them in creating that account. It's pretty simple. We can go into this login section here, and since I'm already logged in, so it's trying to reconnect again and see if my valid ID and password is already there. So it's going to do that. If not, it's going to stop here, and I'll go and click on the Trailhead experiences. And if my ID is already not there, so I'll try and sign up with my relevant ID, and that can be any of that special ID of yours that you're using since years. So in my case, I have this Google ID logged in already. Apologies for the net. How many of you have covered the AI associate exam? You can answer by unmuting yourself, or you can write on the chat as well. Okay, Azhar has done that. Red has also done that. That's good. I guess. See, what's common in Agentforce Specialist and AI Associate is nothing actually, because it's kind of a different scenario here, and AI is definitely evolving right now. And since Salesforce is saying that AI was supposed to be this in the future, right? And in somewhat way, they're actually correct. And that is why, the main purpose of AI would have been the agents eventually on how they are going to work. We do see any film or any series that is AI related, right? There's a film in which Will Smith was there, and that was named as I Robot, right? So I watched that. I personally liked it a lot when I was kid. So that was the main thing that we used to assume that we are not sure how this is going to work, but we are now seeing in this era on how this is all transforming, right? So this is here. The future is actually here. So now we need to be well prepared for it, right? So in this particular case, Agent Force Specialist exam, we might want to have a little bit of knowledge of AI on how it works, right? And so this AI associate is going to help you with that, right? So it's going to give you a bird's eye view on how AI is transforming itself and how AI is used in Salesforce, right? So these are the main basic pillars: AI and plus Salesforce, right? CRM. that we are talking about on how they work and how AI is integrated into the Salesforce platform. And on top of that, we have this AI specialist exam at first, right? Which is now Agentforce Specialist. So AI specialist exam, I actually covered most of the topics of AI specialist. I was pretty ready, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to give that exam, and it passed that day, that 3rd March, and it transformed itself to Agentforce Specialist. So I had to go over the trail again. So these are main things that we need to cover, which is first of all the agent force agent blazer status, right? What is this? We now have three statuses of agent blazer ranks, which is the champion, the innovator, and the legend. The legend is not currently active right now because it's in progress and it's being in the building phase right now. But we do have two ranks, which is the champion one and the innovator one, right? So I would really suggest that you go over this and have a champions rank at first, get some knowledge on the innovator rank as well. We do have two super badges in this innovator rank, which is really going to help you with each and everything on how prompt builder works, how prompt templates are integrated into this platform, how agent force, how the agents are working with this agent force technology in Sales Cloud, in Service Cloud, which are the main clouds, right? So we all must be familiar with the CRM, and we are definitely familiar with the Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, right? Because sales and service plus the marketing cloud and plus the commerce cloud. So Salesforce actually states that in terms of Salesforce, right? These are the main clouds that Salesforce works with, right? And whenever anyone gets a particular environment of Salesforce, you might see Sales and Service Cloud already being there, right? So these are the main pillars that uh, needs to be covered at first, right? So what we are doing is we are going to just have a bird's eye view of that sales and service cloud on how it works, right? Plus how Agent Force is working in Salesforce, which is the AI associate one, right? It's going to help you out in those particular topics on how AI is working in Salesforce. And on top of that, putting the cherry on top, we're going to talk about champions rank and how it works, how the agents are built, what are the use cases of agents in this, right? So if you're going to see this, if you're going to cover this champions rank, it's going to give us all that particular knowledge and how uh, the main pillars of agents, right? So this is going to be that. And similarly, I just told you that if you're going to cover this innovator rank, it's going to give us a whole lot of detailed work in terms of super badges. We all might have done some of the super badges, and I'm pretty much sure. If not, I would really urge you guys to have a little bit of knowledge of the super badges. Super badges are like credentials, right? So it's if anyone here doesn't have that much experience, I would really suggest that take a superset. If you go into this credentials, we go into the super badges and supersets. It's going to give you a whole lot of detail on how it actually works, right? And so these are the main things that super badges does. It gives you a scenario, right? And once you try and follow that and try and do that, it's just like a task that client gives you, right? So just go ahead and try and do this super badge. I would really urge you guys, if you do not have any experience with super badges, just go into the superset and try and do the superset of administrator, which is this admin superset, right? So just go there and try this business administration specialist super badge at first, right? If you're going to do this, you're going to have a touch or that taste of super badge on how it works. If anyone doesn't have any experience of the super badges, I would really urge you guys to just go and hit this super badge and see how the super badges work. Because when once you go into this innovator rank, right, it's going to give you a little curriculum that's going to be forwarded, right? And it has those super badges, right? So if you need some sort of affirmation how these super badges are going to work, this is actually how that's going to be working, right? Anyone has any questions up till now? So you can see this, right? So this is a super badge as well, and we do have uh, another super badge here as well. And by the way, I've done super badges and I've seen how it works. And these two super badges, the prompt builder one and the agent force for service one, these are the most coolest super badges I've ever done, and these were the exciting ones actually. It kept me in some of the super badges that I've done. I've done approx 20 plus super badges now, and it's like smaller projects you get, right? So it's going to help you out in seeing or getting that taste. Yeah, sure, definitely. So this is the link of the curriculum of the super badges, the trail of Agentforce Specialist exam. This is the link of the agent blazer ranks that you need to achieve, which is the first one is going to be the champion one, and the second one is going to be the innovator one, right? And definitely once you go into this trail, the first link, which I've just mentioned, you'll automatically get this the status one and the specialist one. So once you go into this specialist trail mix, which is here, so it's going to tell you all the details on what needs to be done, right? See, the main approach for the trails right now is not to just go into that particular detail on how it gets. I'm sure many of us, since this is an AI era, right? So if you go into ChatGPT, how many of us here have used ChatGPT? Right, Motasim has used it. Rita also used it. SN also used it. Other also uses. So I'm sure definitely all of us might have used it, but any of us, if they haven't used ChatGPT, this is the coolest thing right now in our era because most of our questions, rather than googling them and getting into all that unrelated list of links that we get. Uh, how many of us has googled anything and they haven't gone uh, through most of the links, right? Most of us do click on the first link or the top 10 links maybe, but we don't actually go into page 2 or page 3 or page 4 or page 100, right? We never go there. So they have their SEO, they have their links, and they have their relevant structure built. And most because of the popularity and the relevant data that they provide, they get on top of that Google list, right? So instead of that, we have ChatGPT. We ask most of the questions there and they are actually answered, right? And I'm not saying that they are answered correctly, but definitely they are answered, right? And uh, if they are answered, if we do not have any knowledge about it, we're definitely going to rely on that technology, right? If it's going to give you the wrong answer, definitely we do not know how that answer is going to work. So I would really suggest you go into this, and rather than going into the detail on how each of this trail works, right? All you need to do is copy this whole trail, right? Go into ChatGPT, paste it there, right? And just give that a prompt. How many of us know how ChatGPT actually works, right? So the main thing that ChatGPT wants or can rely on is the prompt, right? And that prompt is actually what you are giving it, right? So if you're going to write something on ChatGPT that it does not understand, it's still going to give you answer, whether it's irrelevant or not, right? And that is not the coolest thing, by the way. If we are relying on something and we do not have knowledge, so it's not good at our end as well, and it's not good at that end as well, right? So where we cannot communicate to ChatGPT and say, what kind of stupid thing have you said, right? It's still going to give us answers, right? It's going to apologize to us since it's a technology that we have built. So it's going to apologize to us, but it's going to go and grab something more irrelevant or maybe something relevant then, right? So it's just working on that prompt that we are giving it. So by the prompt, I mean whatever instruction that we are giving it, whatever question that we are asking it, it's just a prompt, right? And that is the main thing on what agent works, right? So agent based is based on that prompt that we are giving it, whether we are asking it to give us some knowledge or whether we are asking it to perform a task, right? So in agents, what is the main difference between agents and the chatbots that we actually work with or we have worked with? You can see Ask Agentforce here, right? So if you click on that, it's going to initialize that agent, and now we are going to ask it. So if it's a chatbot, and if we ask it something, right? So it's going to give us that answer if it's going to have that in that database of theirs, right? The knowledge base of it. But what's the difference between a chatbot and the agent that we are working with? The chatbot is actually scripted, and the agent force is based on some of the prompts, the instructions that we have set at the backend. It's actually working with that grounding technique. I'll explain what grounding is. It's actually working with that guardrails. I'll explain what the guardrails is, right? And then it actually is mapping those instructions to the actions that we have in Salesforce. So, how many of us have heard about flows in Salesforce? I'm sure every one of us have heard it, and most of us would have worked with it as well. If not, that is the most intriguing part of Salesforce right now, right? It's the most interesting topic in Salesforce. So whatever that is, we go in Salesforce and we write Apex scripts, we customize things, we need customizations in any of the stuff. We try and see what Salesforce has given us already, right? And we try and use that. So that is the main purpose of flows on besides writing that code logic. All in all, again, we try and use that particular flows and do the stuff that Salesforce is providing us, right? So it's giving us predefined set of instructions which is being used in flows, right? It's just like the flow charts that we have studied in computer science, or if we haven't, so just go and search on what flow charting is, and you're going to find those particular nodes on how we build stuff in flows and all that, right? So that's the main thing. So going forward on what we've already understood on what we need to do, right? Payload is boring. I agree with that, and that is the main part why I'm here. And I know I've gone through trails. I've gone through many of the trail mixes. I'm a four-star ranger, and I know how bad it can be, right? If you do not have time and if you go and study all this stuff, you're gonna be pissed, really pissed. So just go and copy this thing, put it in ChatGPT, and ask it that you being a Salesforce expert, give me key takeaways or key pointers from the prompt that I've given it. And this is actually the prompt which you're giving it. This is the stuff that you want the main key instructions to be derived with this, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to give this particular prompt to it. You're going to ask that chat GPT to give me the key takeaways from this particular trail, right? So it's going to list all that key takeaways over there in ChatGPT, right? And if you do not have any more understanding or the main description on that, so what we are going to do is we are going to ask it to break that, summarize that particular trail, summarize this particular part, and give me main key takeaways in pointers, right? So it's going to give you the main key takeaways in that points and what we actually understand, right? So it's going to give you that particular thing in that description, and which you're going to be understanding more correctly, right? So where if whatever that is, whatever the instructions that we are giving it, if those are written in pointers and those are the main things that are discussed in this trail, I'm absolutely sure that we're going to understand that correctly, right? And we are it's going to save us much more time in that as well, right? So whatever that prompt is, you're going to ask that chat GPT that I'm preparing for an Agentforce specialist exam, and you being the Salesforce expert, just give me main key takeaways of this thing that I've just shared with you, right? So it's going to give you the main things that you are actually going to get. So I've prepared a document for it. I've done that, right? So if anyone is willing to take that particular shot, I'm going to give that document to him or her, and you're going to get those particular prompts. I'm just going to list 4 or 5 prompts in that. Just go and try those prompts and give this particular instruction to it and see what you're going to get. You're going to get that idea on how ChatGPT is going to share that or share that information with you with this relevant thing that you're just sharing it, right? So this is the main thing. And similarly, if you're going to go in this, I'm just getting into this last part and I'll just see, I just showed you that what the main topics in Agentforce Specialist would be, right? So in this particular thing, we're going to get a taste of how this Agentforce Specialist would work, how many sections in that agent for the specialist exam are going to be, which are going to be these 5 sections, right? How prompt engineering works in Salesforce, how agent force is set up, how configurations work. There are going to be some configuration questions in that. How agent force is going to help data cloud with it. How data cloud is going to help this agent force, right? Agent force does work without data cloud, but it's a key parameter for agent force. If we have this data cloud with agent force, it's going to give you more accurate details and it's going to give you more accurate responses. So data cloud is actually there with all this data and information and the knowledge base to help that agent force to give you those particular responses, right? And similarly, how Agentforce works in Sales Service Cloud and Sales Cloud. These are the main stuff, right? So this is going to give you a much more detailed explanation. Plus, if you're going to ask ChatGPT, give this particular trail instructions and see on how Agentforce is going to give you that. So I'm going to share a document with you for that chat GPT, which is going to help you out in saying that I'm going to give an agent for specialist exam and create mock questions for me, or create a mock exam for me, or create something relevant, or give me some questions with multiple choice questions from all these instructions that I've given you, right? So you're going to at that particular thing, you're going to open that chat GPT, you're going to work on that single window and give all these trails instructions and then ask ChatGPT to give me a mock exam of all this particular sections that I've given you, right? With maybe 5 questions from each section, maybe 10 questions from each section, whatever that's going to be, right? So it's going to help you out with that. And it's going to give you 5 questions from this prompt engineering, from Agentforce concepts, data cloud, service cloud, sales cloud. That is not going to be accurate. That might be accurate. That cannot be accurate. That is not the question, right? But it's going to give you an overview and it's going to just give you a hint on how much you are ready and have you followed these instructions perfectly. And if you're ready, I would suggest that go and schedule your exam first. So that might help you in getting that deadline on how you're going to work with it, right? So just go there, go into that Agentforce Specialist exam on Web Accessor, just schedule it. The first try is free, right? The second try isn't. So try and get that particular instructions, that description, that particular get exam ready, right? Get exam ready. And these are the things, these are the notes, these are the helpful topics that I'm sharing you with. So just go and get exam ready at first and then attempt that exam. And don't be afraid of it. Just go and attempt that exam and see where you get, right? It's just if you fail, it doesn't matter, right? Why? Because you only knew that you're going to give this exam and you failed, right? So actually you have learned something, right? So no need to tell anyone. Just go and hit it and just be motivated and try and not do those mistakes again, right? But be confident and be well prepared in attempting that for the second time, right? So if anyone of you has any more questions regarding this, the approach, the certification material, so just two topics more. I'm sorry, I just forgot. So I wanted to talk about the grounding technique. I wanted to talk about the guardrails. So I'm just gonna minimize this stuff. I'm gonna open a presentation for you guys. I'm not sure how many of you have already visited this, but I'll just open a presentation and see on how we can work with this. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, thank you. So before going into that exam, and I'm just giving you a bird's eye view on how agents were transformed and how they're built. So I'm just giving you an overview. I'm not going to go in all the details which are here, but I'm just giving you an heads up on how agents work, right? So if you're going to go through this presentation in detail, so you're going to have an idea on how Agentforce came into being and how agents work in Salesforce and how we need to go with the exam and just follow it, right? So it doesn't have that irrelevant stuff there, but we have all we have are in that particular thing is the main details of how agents are working in Salesforce, right? So if we go into this particular detail on how agents are working, so in the early days we had that predictive AI over there which actually predicts on how what you are asking and what is being laid out there, right? After that, co-pilots came into being. There was GitHub Copilot for the technical stuff. There are co-pilots for now that actually automates your stuff. And now that's the third wave of AI, which are known as agents, right? So this is why Agent Force came in. And in Dreamforce last year, Salesforce actually announced that. uh, now this is the era of agents, right? And they actually named it Agent Force. So I'm going to move forward and show you how Agent Force did came in 2024, right? And before that, we had data, right? So Salesforce very smartly played this particular role. They actually had this Einstein in 2016 over there, which was giving us predictive analytics on the data that we have in Salesforce, and it was working pretty smartly with that particular thing. It actually gave that data cloud the edge with that Einstein analytics. And now, with use of these Einstein technologies and the data cloud, agents are working pretty immensely in this particular era, right? So going forward, this is actually the pyramid on how agents came into being. That there was data first, and then came in generative AI. With the help of this particular data, it actually started giving us more relevant stuff in this generative AI. Otherwise, there are some of the stuff that AI does, and one is named as hallucinations, right? So it starts thinking on the ways of how we get into stuff, or what might you be asking. It actually thinks that way, and it actually goes other way, right? For example, if you're asking him on what school is relevant for me for going into higher studies, right? So it's going to give you a whole lot of irrelevant stuff, right? But if you're going to give him or her a proper prompt on, for example, if I'm planning to go into higher education in that particular state or in any country, so it's going to go in that particular detail of that particular state or that country, right? So it's not going to give you some university or some school in Nigeria or any of that stuff. It's going to give you relevant stuff related to US or that particular state which you're trying to target, right? So going forward, if you go that, then it actually evolved into agents, right? And agents, we all know that the main difference between the chatbots and the agents are that agents actually work, right? They actually perform tasks, and they actually are capable of learning themselves, right? So the actions are there, and we're going to talk about that here, how agents are actually working, right? So this is the data that is helping that agent. Anything, any instruction, any stuff that we give that agent to work with, right? It the instruction that actually comes in, it is mapped with that particular data, which is the relevant data, right? And that mapping of that relevant stuff, right? If I'm asking that agent that give me instruction or give me a detailed overview of my past orders in the last month, right? So I'm assuming that it's going to give me all those orders instructions or all those orders details which I've ordered in that last month, right? So data cloud is actually going to help me with that, and that grounding technique is going to help me with that. That it is asking for my orders in the last month, right? So data cloud is going to give me that data, and that grounding technique is going to help me purify that data, and then that instruction in this Atlas reasoning engine is going to be mapped with any of the action if needed in the system, and it's going to map that particular action to any of that 360 platform technology that we are using, either it's sales cloud, commerce cloud, any of the clouds that we're using, right? So this is the main working structure of how Agentforce works. So Uh, I'm not going to go into much details. We do have samples here in this Coral Cloud results with the data cloud and the prompt builder. And this is not by the way now because there's a dev org which Agentforce has provided and Salesforce has provided actually. So now we can create that particular dev org which has this access of data cloud, the prompt builder, and the Agentforce itself, right? So you can go and create that developer org, which has that all these actions there, and it's not going to expire for a time being, right? For example, create a sample app or this particular org, it's going to expire in 5 or 10 days, right? So if you create that developer org, it's not going to expire. So any of the stuff that you create, it's going to stay there. And I would suggest that you create a developer org and go into that stuff, right? So we all know how Agentforce has came into being and what is the layer of Agentforce and how it works, how data cloud helping that Agentforce, how 360 platform is being used on that particular data cloud. This data cloud is synchronized through all the platforms, and for each platform we have a separate agent, right? For example, marketing agent can use analytics agents data, or finance agents can use sales agents data if allowed. Otherwise, these are separate platforms, and we are not supposed to give that particular information outside that particular platform, right? But we do have configurations, we do have data, and this data is actually synchronized through all the platforms. So that is the main reason why this is necessary. Connect all the clouds so that customer might want to see a synchronized, right, within each of the platforms that it's using, right? So anyone has any questions up till now? They can unmute himself or herself and ask any questions, or maybe if they're shy, so they can, use the chat here. Okay, we'll move forward. All right, so this is the main difference, which I just explained earlier on where the chatbots were, how they work, and what actually co-pilots do, and what agents are actually doing right now, right? So they are intelligent, they are proactive, they are trusted. The data that we provide keeps it secret, right? And it's not shared with any of the platforms until and unless we exclusively tell them to share it with any of the platforms, right? And it's autonomous. It actually performs those actions. These are the main things that we see in agents. There's a trust layer, that a trusted environment or a trusted layer between the data and our stuff, our information, right? The guardrails I provided, guardrails is actually the grounding technique, and the guardrails are the two main important topics in Agentforce. And I would really suggest that once you go in these links, for example, if you go in Agentforce concepts and the prompt that you're giving this chat GPT, right? I just mentioned that you're going to copy this and paste it into chat GPT and ask it to summarize this stuff and give me key takeaways of this trail, right? So it's going to give you that. Just go through it in detail, but it's not going to go in this particular link or this link or this link or this link. So these are some of the stuff that you might need to go and study at first, right? If you're going into this, for example, this my practice is when I go into this particular trail, I do study all this stuff from the key takeaways, right? I click all these links simultaneously, right? And so I know on how much time it's going to get, right? Since I do have plenty of stuff to do as well. So you might all be busy as well. So I do go into this particular stuff and I open this synchronously like this. So I know on how to get these links side by side, right? So I open this and I just go into this particular document. I do this that particular stuff. I copy that stuff from the help article. I give it to ChatGPT and I say that please give me key takeaways or key pointers from this particular trail since it's so boring that I might be getting into more stuff, some of the irrelevant stuff that I do not want. So just give me those particular takeaways and just give me the main material on what needs to be done, right? So this is how it helps. So I'm going to kill all these tabs so it doesn't get so messy. I'll move on to the presentation again. Right. So this is another most important slide that we have. These are the five main pillars of agent, which is first thing, the role. When you're planning to build an agent, you might want to know on how it's going to work, right? What it's going to do, what is the main key problem that you're going to achieve or you're going to solve with this particular agent, right? So this is the role that we are going to plan for it, right? It's going to be a marketing agent, and in marketing, it's going to do this specific task. We need to plan the data for it, how it's going to retrieve that particular data. We have to plan the actions for it, on what actions this agent is allowed to perform in our system. And in this particular, both these tasks, the instructions and the actions are the main key pillars of this agent force, because these instructions that anyone provides to this particular agent are then mapped with the actions that we have in the system, right? And similarly, the guardrails are important because so that it doesn't deviate from that particular specific topic, right? And it doesn't go out of the bounds. Because if I or anyone from this meeting ask agent to perform any of the tasks or give me specific details or the data, and it gives me irrelevant data, so we might be pissed on why it's giving me this, and we might lose trust on whether this agent is working fine or not, right? So these are the guardrails, and the grounding technique needs to be there to provide relevant data. Plus, the guardrails are important so that that agent knows on what it shouldn't do, right? So what it should do and what it shouldn't do, both are equally important. And lastly, there should be a channel. The channel is something where this agent is going to work with. If it's going to work on the sales channel, if it's going to work on the service channel, if it's going to work on the marketing channel. So these are the channels that an agent is going to work on, right? So we have already covered this particular important slide. These are some of the slides that actually explains on how Atlas Reason is working. If we give us this particular instruction, can you summarize the case? I've asked this agent to summarize the case, right? It's going to map this particular instructions to some of the relevant actions from my available actions that I've allowed to this particular agent. It's going to give me these actions and perform that task. If I give him another set of instructions, which is this, so this prompt is going to map some of the instructions to separate actions, right? There can be another action that is similar to it. There can be another action that is not similar to it, right? So if I give this particular instruction to it, it's going to give that instructions, map it to some of the actions in that, and it's going to perform that action, right? Does anyone have any question up till now? Anyone can raise their hand or maybe ask any of the questions by muting himself or herself or ask in the chat. Awesome. I wasn't sure this presentation is going to be that, I mean, catchy. You might be, might be explaining very well. I'm not sure.
Yes, Asim.
Thank you. So, guys, moving forward, so must tell you that in terms of actions that we have, right? So we did talk about flows. We do have customized Apex scripts in the system as well, right? So there are two more things that are here, which is the prompt template and the external service here, right? So these are some of the actions, the type of actions actually that we have, and those actions are actually helpful in terms of when we are giving the prompt to that agent. So it actually goes at the back end and it retrieves that information and gives us, right? But if it's supposed to do some action at the back end, so these are some of the action types that we can use. For example, if a person comes in and tells us that, please give me this particular information, so that particular information needs to be in somewhat template, right? There has to be a guideline for that. It shouldn't give me, for example, if Rimsha is asking something and if I'm asking the same question, so Rimsha and me should get relevant information, but in a particular template, right? So that template needs to be followed. Otherwise, Rimsha might get some of the other, maybe the similar data, but in a different format, and I might get different formatted data, right? So that is why prompt template is important. Flow, we all know what flow does, right? We all know how Apex works. We all know how external services work, right? So if there is something that needs to be done outside of the Salesforce platform, so we can use these external services, the linkage of these external services in order to perform those particular actions outside of the Salesforce system, right? So I've already talked about the difference between bots and autonomous agents. What's the key differences of that? And the so if I go into much detail, just to give you a bird's eye view how agents work. For example, this example is going to be relevant because I think most of us are not from e-commerce background. So for example, if I say that I'm going to give you a more relevant example, this is something relevant. So if I give you an example on if there's a use in HR industry, right, for the productivity of employees and all that. So there is a scenario on how AI is going to assist the hiring and talent acquisition process. So the problem with the HR team right now is that HR team is struggling with manual screening and thousands of job applications, right? So this is a common scenario, right? We do have so many people in HR in any of our firms that actually is doing this stuff. So if we automate this stuff, right? So how much burden is this going to reduce from that particular team? And they might be able to focus on something more useful rather than using their time or investing their time in some of the irrelevant or redundant stuff that they're using, right? So an AI user agent can screen those resumes, shortlist the candidates based on some of the instructions that they need, right? For example, if five people from this meeting shares this HR, their resumes, right? And they're asking for a particular job set or that skill set. So the first task is going to be the screening of those resumes, right? And they're going to open that resume one by one and screen that out. So maybe an agent can do that stuff. He can get that particular five resumes and shortlist two of the relevant people, or maybe one of the relevant people, or maybe tell that none of these people are actually relevant to the job description that we have in our system, right? So it's going to reduce much time. And what they can do is focus on some of the important stuff. Watson, you have a question?
Yeah, my question was the CVs are mostly in the form of PDF. So first we have
Mhm.
to convert that into text, which or the data in which the Salesforce saves. Then they might be able to screen that. And how does this work?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Motasan. So, see, what we are doing with agents is you have a very valid point, and since agents by default are screening that particular text, right, and the prompts that we are giving it, what we can do is we can get that particular since in previous slides I explained that in agents what we have, right? We have flows, we have Apex, right? We have prompt templates so that Apex and that flow can help you out in this, right? We can have a PDF reader at the backend. We can get that particular information out of those PDFs. We can give it to the agent. We can see if that relevant information is there, and then can give a true or false response of that particular resource or that particular resume to our agent back, right? For example, if Motasim has shared his CV in a PDF format and I have built that agents, I might get that PDF resume in that request, transform it into a text, give it to the agent, see if that agent has mapped those skills of Motasim in my particular JD that I require, right? And give a true or false response that Motasim is relevant to this job description or not, right? So this is how agents work, and this is the main thing that agent is doing right now, right? Otherwise, the actions that are at the back end, those are all the actions that you have built, and you are helping the agent out on those actions, right? So I assume that I've answered your question. If not, you can always ask.
Yeah, thanks. I got the
No
point.
worries. Thank you. So the second scenario is, for example, if we do have that particular thing, and if we go into that second phase, and once those resumes are shortlisted, we can have an interview scheduled, right? And if that interview is a video call or a virtual interview, so we might be able to record that session, right? Or maybe have an AI agent in that particular call that is going to give us all the relevant data. For example, if we talk about read.ai, what it does is it comes into the meeting, it transcripts your meeting, and it gives you some of the pointers that these main things were discussed in this meeting, which is very nice, right? Because in early days, what we did is we actually went into the client calls. There was a single person who was mostly a QA person or a business analyst person or project manager that actually helped us out in those meeting minutes, right? And we actually posted that meeting minutes in Basecamp, in Jira, in email, or somewhere to the client and stated that this was discussed in the meeting. Now there are AI agents for this, right? We have those AI agents inside the call. They actually transcribe that call. They give us the key main pointers. They actually tell us that these are the tasks to perform. They actually also assign those tasks to some of the people that they have discussed. For example, Hassan is going to do this particular task. Rimsha is going to perform this particular task. Motasim is going to perform this particular task. Reda or Rauf is going to perform this particular task. So these are the tasks, these are the people that were inside that meeting, or maybe not inside that meeting, but they were discussed in that meeting. And those tasks were actually going to help us out in that particular meeting or prescribe that task and assign that to that person, right? So these are the things that agents are now performing, right? So not going not going to go in that particular more details. We do have more examples of it, but this was something that I needed to share the approach on how we can get this, the overview on how agents work, the main thing that needs to be done, especially in this certification, is I would really suggest you guys to go into these ranks and just get that innovator rank at first because it has two main super badges, right? If you're going to perform those super badges, it's going to help you out in the details of this particular task that we have here, right? It's going to tell you on how agents work. It's going to tell you on how prompt builder works. It's going to tell you how data cloud is helping agent force. It's going to tell you how agent force is working in service cloud, in sales cloud, right? So all these topics are relevant. And if you're going to perform those two super badges inside that innovator rank, it's going to help you out in all these topics. So this is all from my side. If anyone has any more questions or any suggestions or anything that they might need to ask, just do feel free to unmute yourself or just write it in the chat.
Is there any other helping material which can help in preparation?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned that the prompts that I've shared on the chat GPT, I'll share the samples of those. There are a few of the prompts at start, so I'll share that. You might need those prompts at first if you do not have any idea on how ChatGPT works and how those prompts or what prompts we need to give it. Right? I'm going to give you that. Yes, Azhar, I can share the PPT as well on how agents work, and there are some of the use cases as well here. I'm going to share that with you. If you guys are on the WhatsApp group, that's good. If not, if you're in Pakistan or anywhere outside, you can share your number, and we can definitely add you to the Pakistan group if you're from Pakistan. Otherwise, we can, share that relevant stuff with you separately as well, maybe on LinkedIn, or if any channel would suffice with you.
To whom we should send our DM our numbers? As I'm from Pakistan, but I haven't on the join the group on WhatsApp.
No worries. I'm sharing my number here. Uh, you can send me a message. I'll add you to that group. You can send me those details. Rimsha from user group is also here. She's co-leader of our group, the user group Pakistan. You can send me those details or maybe message Rimsha as well on LinkedIn and ask us, for all the relevant stuff that we have. No worries, Jason. Thank you so much. Also, if you guys have any more questions or if you're going to the trail mix or having any more issues in that, maybe creating an agent, going through the super badge, getting some of the relevant stuff or the irrelevant stuff you're finding, go to YouTube, have those videos, search for those videos, relevant videos. You might know on how agent is working. You might want to go and search on how Agentforce is working in data cloud. It's going to help you in that how data cloud is relevant to Agentforce is going to help you in that. You can also see on how Agentforce is working in Sales Cloud and maybe the Service Cloud as well. It's going to help you in that. It's definitely going to help you in many ways. So there are relevant stuff there. Most of the people have done these certifications. They can also help you in that. They might have videos on YouTube as well that can help. This trail mix is definitely going to help. Uh, Someone, I've also shared the email address with you. So you can all email me on that. I can share that email, that stuff on email as well. Thank you, Reza. So I guess that's it. We're going to wrap this up. If anyone has any more questions, I'll be here till the meeting ends. So you can ask me anything. Otherwise, we just sure someone. I'll just stop the recording, and if you guys want to leave, you can. Thank you for coming and thank you for joining, guys. I know it's a weekend, but I think this might be helpful for you all.